When you start the game, you may see this poster, which means that KV-5 is on sale now. And it's kind of special tank. I bought it almost 2 years ago. I played 400 games in it. I aced it, and I put it on the virtual shelf because I don't like this tank. So I hope that Wargaming sold enough of them so I could start trashing it a bit. So here is KV-5 in all its glory. Large, mean, big tank, huge profile. Not that big gun, but let's have a look at that gun. Actually, there are two of them. The first one is what it had for almost 2 years. It shoots normal armor-piercing rounds, and unfortunately they have quite bad penetration. So with this gun, you would be mostly shooting, well, not mostly, but often you would be shooting APCI rounds. The alpha is rather low, of 320, which means that you would be staying a lot in the open and just shooting in front of you. The second gun appeared just recently, and it shoots APCI rounds by default, but premium ammunition now is hit rounds. And hit rounds are much better, but unfortunately you pay for this with noticeably lower rate of fire. So what does it mean? It means that this gun won't bring you much credits, because the first gun, it will be hard to penetrate targets with AP rounds, and you will be paying for APCI rounds. There'll be too many ricochets, and you would be spending more time trying to hit the weak spots. The second gun has lower rate of fire, and this means that it will again bring you less credits. So obviously you're not buying this tank to grind credits, but that's kind of the main reasons why people are buying tier 8 premium tanks. But anyway, it's a fortress, right? It has such a great armor. Or not. Let's have a look at this in Armor Inspector. Okay, so here is KV-5 in Armor Inspector, and the first thing that you see is radio operator turret. It's rather thin and big, so everyone could penetrate it easily, and that's number one weak spot. Lower plate is rather solid, and it's much thicker, and especially when you angle your tank like this, you can't go through it, and the side armor is also pretty good. So what else do you see? Well, there is another turret which is also rather thin and could be penetrated by better guns, and that weak spot at the top of the turret is also very prominent. And by the way, the gun that shoots at this tank right now is actually tier 7 gun from Yak Panther, and they are regular AP rounds. If I switch to APCI rounds, you would see even more white space. So this thing is paper thin, and the major problem now is those plates, those segments at the front of the turret. So essentially they kind of extend commander cupolas, so it becomes even easier to penetrate this tank. So that's the major issue with it. The turret is just huge, and weak spots are very large, and it's so easy to penetrate them. Actually, there are two types of turrets in this game. One is spherical, which is bouncy from all directions, and another one is kind of square, like 100. And the good thing about square turret is that you could angle it. You turn it slightly, and it becomes very bouncy. But this turret is especially bad because frontally you see those white segments, which would be green in the game. If you turn your turret ever slightly, you will see another segments. So let me switch to AP round. You see? It's white. And when you turn it even further, you would see another white segment. So it doesn't matter how you turn your turret, you always will be green. There always be some segment which is very easily penetratable by normal AP rounds from tier 7 gun. And that's the major issue. Look at how huge this tank is. It's so easy to hit it in that turret. Well, let's take for comparison IS-6. It's much thinner, and look at that turret. Yes, those cheeks could be penetrated, but they're so small, and when this tank is on the move, it's almost impossible to hit. Much better armor profile. This tank is much smaller. So KV-5, I don't know. It's supposed to be the front line, but come on. This turret is so bad. It's just awful. And the problem is that imagine that you are facing several tanks. You see several tanks in front of you. The first one would be looking like this, and he would see that white segment. The tank next to it would see KV-5 like this, so he would be shooting at this segment. And another tank, which stands even further, will probably see it like this, so he will be shooting there or there. I mean, it's not a fortress, right? How that could be a fortress? It's just so bad. Now let's have a look at some gameplay. I'm using the second gun, which is much more sensible choice. I was able to get to the hill, and I know that there are people that snipe from the spawn. I decide to use the hull of the dead tank to go hull down and hide my radio operator turret, which is a good choice. And look at how gun performs. This one penetrates. Second APCI round doesn't. So that's how well IS-6 armor is. And there is a driver's hatch, which is supposed to be penetratable, but second one goes in. And now look at this. Yak Panther decides to shoot at me. Yes, it can penetrate me. Even though I was hull down, radio operator turret was hidden, it was still able to go through. So I believe that there is only one thing that KV-5 does well, and it's this. It's ramming other tanks. It's fast machine, it could get full speed, and it just do a big damage by ramming other tanks because it weighs like 100 tons. And basically that's the only thing which this tank does well. Look at this. Yeah! Lots of fun. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen every second game. Well, that so often. So, should you buy this tank? Well, as you see in this game, I was able to clear 78,000 credits. So it still earns a certain amount of money. I did quite a lot of damage. Typically, you don't do this in a game, so it was first mastery. Overall, it's not bad. It's not that bad. It's pretty bouncy. But again, compared to other tanks, if you need credits, buy yourself Lure or T-34. They are, in my opinion, much better credit grinders. If you want to win more, go for IS-6. I mean, people have much higher win rates in this tank because it just has much better armor profile. And KV-5, well, you could buy it just for fun to ram other tanks. That's probably the only thing that it does well. So is it worth $25? I don't know. I collect tanks, so I buy them all, but if your budget is constrained, I don't think that it's a good investment for you. So I hope that was helpful. And sorry for trashing that tank. All KV-5 lovers. Yeah, I don't like it, honestly. So thanks for watching. Bye.